everyone, I'm back and we're going to be talking about the Promised Neverland right now after immediately talking about that right after Dr. Stone. Now, I'm not sure when these videos will actually come out because I'm going to be going away after going out after doing them, so I might get them up tonight, might get them edited and up tonight or possibly tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see, guys. And also, like I said, might get 152 out this week. I don't know. I don't know how busy I'm going to be on Saturday because that's my only day that I've got off after today. It's Saturday, so yeah. And then after that, I'll be going away next Monday. Like literally, as soon as I wake up, I'm going away. So that'll be something that unfortunately you'll probably just have to wait for. With chapter 152, might actually do it as a double one with chapters 153 as well. So we'll just have to get on with that as soon as it comes in. But for now, let's talk about Promised Neverland chapter 151. Alright, so this will be chapter 151 titled The Winner Is Me because I killed that friggin' fly that got in my shot right then. But anyway, who is the winner? What? Who? Is it the Queen? Is it the humans? Who is it? Who is it? Anyway, let's continue on. Alright, so we start off the chapter with basically how the last chapter ended off with Sassy actually bursting onto the scene ready to fight the Queen and Ifok, and then we're like, humans did this, and they go, and the caption goes, and now the fated final battle. Now, just to clarify, just because they say this is the fated final battle, it doesn't mean the series might be ending in like the next 10 weeks. And even if it does, not tomorrow, we'll be talking about Dr. Stone. Like I said, immediately after the Promised Neverland finishes, I'll be talking about Dr. Stone. Why? Because not only is it my favourite manga, it's beating out the Promised Neverland. I'm sorry, Ray, I'm sorry, Norman, but Dr. Stone just beat it out because of the fact that we got all my favourite characters basically as the main cast of the series now. Like they're on the voyage of a lifetime, going all the way to the other side of the world and stopping off at various islands, kind of like what One Piece. Yeah. Dr. Stone probably took a lot of inspiration from One Piece when coming up with its idea of how to structure its story, basically moving forward from chapter 100. But let's not talk about Dr. Stone too much today. We've got to talk about Promised Neverland. Okay, so Sassy bursts on the scene, and the Queen's just flabbergasted like, humans. Before Ivor goes, who is that? And it's like, yeah, they're coming to kill you, but however, you should not be underestimating the power of the demons, guys, because for all you know, they could do something incredibly more sinister to you and you'll be none the wiser. Right, so this chapter is basically more of an action-packed chapter. There's not really that much in terms of dialogue, so if this review goes by a little bit much more quicker than what is normally given, because normally I make my reviews like 30 to 50 minutes, like that's the actual left, so 30 to 50 minutes, but I might only be able to get it out for like 25 minutes, so this will probably be one of the shorter reviews, but that's just the way the chapter was, the fact that it was mostly more action oriented, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we do need that little bit of action in a series like this to like just get the audience more invested and more pumped up for surprises that are just going to be around the corner. But anyway, continuing on, so as Sassy sees the demons, he immediately just jumps into action and just goes straight for the Queen. Like, he doesn't even hesitate, he just like, Queen's there, and just shoots at her like supersonic speeds, and the Queen just basically has no time, basically has very little time. It's just like, so it's just like basically like that, basically like that, and the genuine look on her face as well says it all. Like, she wasn't actually expecting humans to be as impactful as they were. Again, showing like the oblivious nature to the demons, to basically like the royal guard, about how much the common folk have actually improved and evolved over time, rather than just being a bunch of smug, arrogant gits that have just been sitting on a throne like, we're the best, we cannot be beat, so don't be like that with us. Now this also goes along with a theory that I have, that basically celestial dragons in One Piece, they aren't related to the original kings and queens that actually founded the world government, and they were just basically common folk that actually just got on their thrones and like took over them and basically established them as celestial dragons. And Nefertari family actually knew about this and knew how crazy this all was, and they tried to be with the common folk, and they're like, yeah, we're not a fan of that, so we're going to eliminate you, which is probably what happened in chapter 956 of One Piece. But that's just something I wanted to bring up here, how it sounds very similar to what happened with Giran here, how he was like a good noble, but they were like, yeah, we're not a fan of you, and you know how that ended for him. But anyway, back to the chapter. So as the queen is struggling with Sassy and looking generally terrified, like the look on her face is like, fuck this guy. Just fuck this guy. Don't let him stab me. She forces her head back, so they're just struggling, and she's like, so she's like that. That's basically how it is. But before she can even react to that, Sassy just jumps up into the air as the queen has got her head wrapped. So she's like that, and Sassy's just like trying to jump over to him and just trying to get to her. But before he can actually do that, let's look at. Let me just see here. Okay, so Sassy. Sassy jumps up, tries to stab the queen with his swords, and so basically what I'm getting at here is that he's doing a barrage of like just stabs at her, so like sort of like how Gin's Shinso works in Bleach, how he just like just start. That's probably what Sassy's doing here. He's just stabbing from multiple different angles, and sure enough, he gets a slash on the queen as she goes, this one, but she says it in just like such a nonchalant way. It's like, this one, a coma fade, whatever. Like again, showing the arrogance of the queen, how she doesn't want to admit that she's actually struggling, but again, her face said it all in just those few panels. So as the queen prepares to fight Sassy some more, as she regenerates her fingers, we see Barbara and Cecil just jump in from behind her, like trying to get a sneak attack on her, and just looking at the rage on their faces show just how determined they are just to finish her off once for all, as she notices this as well, before we get a flashback to Norman basically discussing the plan with Sassy, Cecil, Barbara and Vincent, and him going, you will break out, then try to attack as quickly as possible. Okay, so that's basically what his plan is. Okay, we just quickly go in there and deal with them, and then we get out. But again, the queen is not someone to make something so easily, given the fact that she's related to Lewis. But whatever, Norman continues to tell them that both Giron and the queen are powerful. Even with you Lambert's subjects, we have absolutely no chance of beating them in a head-on battle. And yet, what are you doing right now? Having a head-on battle. I guess it's because like they're just so filled up with rage, like they're not thinking straight now, and that's gonna be their undoing, as we'll see with Barbara soon enough. But anyway, they go, but Norman continues. But if both groups work together and attack, you can always chip away and exhaust them. But again, Norman, you're still having a one-on-one battle with one of the most powerful demon, in Demon World. What do you think's gonna happen? Like, I just don't get it here. It's like, no chance of beating them in a one-on-one fight. Oh, but if we work together and we source them, we can beat them. It's like, yeah, it's not going to be as simple as that, Norman, as 1, 2, 3. Like, oh, if exhausted, we can go and sneak in for the attack. Because even exhausted people can still fight. Even if they're at half their strength, they can still fight and still produce a good outcome. It's like, Norman, you're meant to be smarter than this. Don't be consumed by revenge on the demons and think straight. Which is don't think what Cecil, Barbara and Sassy are doing right now. They're just thinking like, we just gotta kill her, just gotta kill her. Like, not even thinking about any battle plan or something like this, something like that at this moment in time. Norman goes on to say that regeneration, mutation, the ability to reform their bodies. These abnormal abilities all display themselves through cellular division. Demons expand an enormous amount of energy, as we see, like just from the flashback of them actually experimenting on that demon that they actually have captured. And he goes on to say, experiments can entirely replicate the condition we'll face, but when they're expenditure goes past a certain threshold, their effectiveness in combat will plummet dramatically. Yeah, you're clearly underestimating them at this point in time, Norman. Before he again goes on to say, demons are living beings too. They have limits. Yes, but they have very different limits from what humans actually have, Norman. I mean, if only Emma told him how difficult it was to take down one demon, like, he probably would be like, oh, okay, we have to think very clearly about what we're going to be doing. Before he again goes on to say, consecutive battles are their glaring weakness. They are creatures that specialise in instant explosive force. They aren't able to keep fighting if they don't eat food to replenish. You do realise the Queen's got a buffet around her, Norman? Actually, he doesn't know that, but she has a buffet around her right now that she could just easily just eat someone, and then it's just like, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. I can still fight. I'm at full strength right now. So yeah, Norman, you should have really thought about that much more thoroughly than what you have. But maybe he has. Maybe he has. We'll just have to continue on and see what he actually has in store before he goes on to say, "Don't let them eat any of the meat, not even a single piece of the corpses." Which did she? No, I don't think she did actually, but she's still got the corpses around her, and she's still quick enough to dodge your attacks, basically. So what's to stop her from just getting a piece of meat and just eating it right there and then? And he goes on to say, don't give them any time to recover. Just keep attacking and attacking as we get back to the battle, and we see Cecil, Barbara, and Sassy going up against her and just attacking her from all different angles, trying to surround her and trying to pick her off, piece by piece, as we get a declaration of it. That's how us humans will win this, and the Queen is just getting annoyed by this. Like, just why does it have to be me that fights these ones? Before Barbara goes on to say, I can see it. Her movement, it's fast, but it's definitely becoming more duller than before. Okay, so yeah, even though she is fast, it's faster. It's still diminishing, but again, she's still fast enough to dodge your attack. So yeah, so you have to really be precise and precision on your techniques right now. As they continue the battle, Barbara goes on to think, just like the boss said it was, she's fully exhausted. And also earlier, from when we were watching from the ceiling, I grasped the feeling of this. Using Giron to trust her was a huge using Giron to exhaust her was a huge success. In this battle to death, us humans will win as they all just charge towards her, and they're able to like get a snip of her face. Like, okay, so one of her eyes is here, and one of her eyes is basically where sort of like above where a regular human eye is, and they just slash basically the cheek right in front of it. So again, even though it's still not an easy victory for them, they're still pushing forward and still relentlessly pursuing forward, and even getting some hits off on her. But again, all she has to do, the Queen, is just wait for them to tire out herself, and then she could easily get an opening on there, because even though she's getting exhausted herself, they should be getting more exhausted because of the fact that they're humans. Yes, even though they're experimental, they've had experiments done on them from Lamberta, they're still humans and they still have glaring weakness, and one of them is the fact that they probably exhaust more quicker than a demon could ever do, even a high-ranking demon like the Queen herself. As the Queen starts to regenerate, even though it's going a lot slower than what she initially anticipated, she thinks to herself and says, these people, they're not letting up. No insolent. No matter how I tempt them, they're not being rash and jumping in. They're surely aiming to exhaust me. Even torso will suffice. Okay. No. She says this. She's looking at one of the corpses. So okay, she's figured out like, okay, they are exhausting me, so I might have to eat a torso if I want to survive. And get out of this battle. As we get Cecil going, don't get impatient. Look closely and calmly. Right now, she's just fending us off. The Queen is certainly strong, overwhelmingly so, but with how exhausted she's getting to be, as long as we make sure to evenly distribute our offenses and defenses, we can take her on. And yeah, they seem to be doing quite well for humans, going up against a vicious demon that when she was introduced just basically like extended her finger and just killed a butterfly without even breaking a sweat. And Barbara goes on to say, Sassy will attack and we'll protect him, and that's probably the best option that they have at this point, because Sassy seems to be the fastest out of all of them. So it's like, okay, Sassy's going to be the sword and Barbara and Cecil are going to be the shield, and if this goes to how they anticipate to go, then it might be the only shot that they have against taking down the Queen. As they continue their onslaught on the Queen, Cecil thinks to himself and says, Sassy can pull it off. He can do it. Sassy can. As we get like what I assume is Sassy without like the bag over his head, all trained up and basically being an experiment at Lavender. We don't get like a full image of what he actually looks like, but yeah, it seems as though like he's not fully human and there is something going on with Sassy himself. But before we can even think about that, we get back to the battle as Barbara goes, Sassy, leave it back to us, give it everything you've got, as Sassy just dives in to actually get the Queen at the end, and he's like just jumping towards her. The Queen goes, don't get carried away. And at this point, I feel like what she's actually done. I feel like at this point what she's actually done is actually managed to sort of like snag some food. Her arm extends out to like insane buff size, and before they can even react to it, Barbara is just grabbed by the Queen's claws. So okay, Sassy jumped, and then the Queen just like goes straight for Barbara. Like that, without even blinking. Barbara has been caught by the Queen and is ready to be defied. As Cecil is just panicking right now and going, Barbara! And again, this is the point where they really need to keep their cool, because if they lose their cool right now, then they're all screwed. But I mean, I know they're friends, but they have to keep their cool right at this moment in time if they have any chance of surviving and getting out of this life. But given how bad of an injury that is on Barbara's part, she's probably going to die. Yeah, Barbara is probably the one that is actually going to die. As Barbara is grabbed by the Queen and is ready to be devoured, Sassy, just thinking flat out on his feet of what to actually do, just throws his sword and it connects with the Queen's arm that just has Barbara on it. So it's just like, and then it just drops her to the ground, drops the arm to the ground and Barbara to the ground. But the Queen is just casual. It's pretty casual about it. More so annoyed by it than anything. Like not the fact that she's lost an arm, but the fact like I've lost my lunch now because of that human that just cut off my arm. So yeah, again, 7 arms are back. Like that's a cliche that I missed because Bleach did that quite a few times throughout the series. Just like arms getting severed off, and even some series like Dr. Stone, even when people were petrified, the arms were getting severed off. So yeah, 7 arms are back. So let's add the Queen to the 7 arm club. Basically, the Queen of the Demon World of the Promised Neverland. Let's add her to the club that gets the arms sliced off. And again, this is what I was worried about, because as soon as Barbara drops to the ground, Sassy is just standing there, just going like, ah! and just basically charges for the Queen, and Barbara's and Cecil's like, Sassy, don't do it, keep your cool. And yeah, Cecil's thinking logically, is like, Sassy, no, don't do it. This is obviously what the Queen wants. She's begging you. She's gonna actually kill you at this point. But Sassy at this point is not listening. To reason. He's just seeing one of his friends being grievously injured, and he's just doing it like, I've got to kill her, no matter what. I have to kill her for what she's just done now. And the Queen's just like. They fell for it. They're falling right into my trap right now. As the Queen's arm starts to regenerate, Cecil just rushes forward and he's like, damn, this is bad. I won't be able to make it in time. And as Sassy is just getting ready to stab the Queen gets her arm ready, but something happens and this actually catches her off guard. And before she can actually even comprehend what is going on with her arm, Sassy just tries to thrust his sword into her, but she gets her arm and just blocks it like that. But she even looks more surprised when the arm just passes right through, when the sword just passes right through the arm, like basically like a knife slicing through butter. She's like, what's going on? And as her arm starts to mutate even further, and she looks completely shocked about it. We see Vincent smiling away, and this smiling away with what looks like a gun. Yeah, it looks like Vincent has a bunch of guns, and a bunch of the Adam clones have a bunch of guns as well. And as Barbara is groveling around, we see Ivoric and the Queen's subordinates basically feeling what the Queen is actually thinking right now, and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And Ivoric's like, what's going on? Could it be? And this is where we get the big reveal of the chapter as well. What is actually going on with the demons, which is the fact that they're actually being poisoned. Yeah, poison. That was that's something that I didn't expect to actually happen. I mean, kind of, sort of, because I feel like they did actually mention poison at some point in the previous chapters. But yeah, even though they're still powerful demons, it's still poison. That's something that you just cannot counter properly. You just cannot shrug it off. It doesn't matter how strong you are. If you're affected by poison, then you need to get it out of you before something bad happens. As we see several of the demons mutating and killing off other demons that haven't mutated, and basically the entire demon society basically crumbling around them. We see Songju, Misaka, Gilda, and Dawn looking shocked and going, "It started." As we get a flashback of them going, "From what I've seen, it inhabits the regular cellular division cycle for demons. To put it in extremely simple terms, it destroys their ability to retain their special traits. A poison that forces them to degenerate." Okay, so basically, what Norman is establishing here is like, okay, I have a poison that if it's inserted into their system, it will basically force them to de-evolve, essentially. This is basically like his de-evolution beam, basically. If you've seen like an old Mew card from the early days of Pokemon, it had de-evolution beam, which from what I can establish basically de-evolved the Pokemon if it was hit by it, or a Pokemon from Digimon, how he basically uses claws to like basically de-evolve all the Digimon. That's basically what it's implying here, that this poison that basically just degenerates them into basically wild demons with no intelligence and no concept, and Norman's basically going to use the demons themselves to actually eat each other alive, essentially, basically cannibalize them. That's probably what's going on here. As Ivan goes, "That attack, no, it's most likely one of those blades as well." As he thinks about the blades that Sassy is actually holding. So it was probably the blade that Sassy actually used to cover the Queen's arm and save Barbara. Yeah, I'd say saved, even though she's probably going to die in the next couple of chapters based on how grievous that injury actually was. We see Barbara going, "We did it. It's working on the Queen." As we get another flashback of Norman going, "It won't work on every single demon, of course, and there'll also be differences in how it works between individuals. In the worst case, it probably could not be effective against the royalties who have consumed the cursed blood. But judging by the reaction of the Queen, it seems to actually be implied that he is actually working on those who have even consumed the cursed blood. I feel like the only two that it won't work on are Songju and Musica. I feel like they're the only exceptions to this rule that's going out. As we get an evil grin from Vincent going, "It's working. It worked. It worked outside the experiments. This is perfect. How's that? Don't the cells reproduce throughout your body feel terrible?" So he's basically smoking saying to Queen, "How does this feel? How does it feel to be on the defensive at this moment in time from the humans you've suppressed for several hundred generations?" Before Norman gets another look on his face of going, "But," which is in a flashback. This is all in a flashback from what it was seeing of Norman here. Before we cut back to the Queen and going, them going, "She can't extend her claws anymore. We won't let this chance slip away." As we get the caption, "Seeing victory in the moment," and we see Sassy going to strike the Queen, and them going, "Go to hell, you monster!" As we get another caption going, "The end of their despair is ... and that's the end of the chapter. And I feel like the Queen possibly might die. However, they're all going to die as well. Like, they're all going down together. I feel like that's the only way, because it cuts away from actually seeing it, and usually when that happens, it's not going to go the way of the people who are like in victory if it cuts away like this, because if they didn't want this to be a surprise for next chapter, then it would have just shown the Queen just getting her head cut off. And there and then showing that the Queen is definitely dead and getting her eye stabbed out. But now I feel like there's going to be more to it. I feel like either they're all going to die, or the Queen's going to be like, or the Queen, or possibly Ivan's going to jump in and save the Queen. That's another possibility that's happened. Like, Ivan's going to jump in, save the Queen, and then the Queen's actually going to finish off the job there and then. But that's all I've got to say on the chapter. So, like I said, not really one of the longer ones. Not really one of my longer ones. Again, it was mostly an action-filled chapter and demonstrating how the battle played out, and what the actual overarching plan of Norman was to basically poison the entire demon society and basically degenerate them into regular demon and basically cannibalize them. That's basically the idea of what I'm getting at here from Norman's perspective. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lush and Luke signing off. Later, guys!